everybody, it's Booms, and today I decided to hop in a BG on my Shadow Priest, candyforkids on the kel'thuzad server. First thing I'd like to say that Shadow is extremely overpowered right now. Really any hybrid is. Basically anything that has a healing spec and or option is just insane right now. Mainly rep paladins, even non-healers, like warriors right now with that second wind. It's just almost nearly impossible to take them down. But Shadow's looking really nice. Here I'm messing with a different set of talents. Trying that new Shadow Word, one where you can actually use it when your Shadow Word pain's about to go out. But anyway, this is going to be just like a commentary overview. What I'm doing is I'm checking out where everybody's gone. I see that my whole team's basically at Waterworks, so I'm going to go help them out a little bit with some Shadow Cleavage. Yes, Shadow Cleavage. Nasty. But overall, I'm enjoying it. I have to have my most right now. Probably Red Guy. He's going to open up on his Death Knight, which is Vampiric Touch. Throw out some Mind Flake, my instant Shadow. Or Mind Blast, which does a lot of damage. And he just basically has no chance. He went from everything to nothing. Helped like 8 team members nonetheless. Now keep in mind it is still a little bit buggy. Some of my macros didn't decide to go through with the patch, so I'm just doing my best and winging it basically. For most of it though, I still got a good chunk. Now, the thing that I've noticed about Shadow Priest though is the Shadow Orbs. Basically, the only way to keep a steady supply is to basically kill your Shadow Word Death, and I don't think it's worth it just yet. Not until I see what type of damage Shadow Word Death is going to be doing up at 90. But for right now, I don't think it's worth it to take that glitch and just miss out on the awesome execute damage that you have with Shadow Word Death. So you're basically going to use those Shadow Orbs for like, I like to macro it and my Devouring Flame PvP trinket. And then I actually swapped talents here. I dropped eventually I dropped talents so that the Mind Bender thing does insane damage, crazy burst. I would recommend grabbing that if you would like to enjoy the bursty side of Shadow. But here I'm just testing out first BG of Shadow, seeing how the Mind Spike works. Just it does much damage does it like. So I'm like, hey, I'll test it longer. Let's see how much damage it does. Used to doing the 18,000, not too bad, but I like my dots. And here you're going to see just the sheer survivability of Shadow right now. It's just so much self-healing just from dots and other people healing you. But right now you can see clearly that it's just me, a hunter, and a mage here at Mines. We're trying our best. We're not doing anything too fancy. And spoiler alert, we do lose this BG. I just thought I'd use it just because it shows the survivability and damage that Shadow has right now. But right now I've seen that we've bitten off a little bit too much, so tried to fear the pets off that way I could get a nice little heal off, which Flash Heal right now takes no mana and heals you a shit ton. Like it's insane how much Shadow actually heals. There's a glyph that allows you to use like Prayer of Mending, Renew, and the Faith as well. But this is one of my favorite moments. Death Knight decided he wanted to get up close and personal with Shadow Priest. Typically, this is where Death Knight would excel. I'm not sure if this guy was missing out on gear or what. Looks like he was missing a few pieces, but still no excuse for a Death Knight not to at least be able to do something, especially Unholy versus Caster. So, I think Blizz might want to look into the Unholy Death Knight just a little bit. Hunters, they don't have to worry about, they hit hard. Decent survivability. I'd say out of every class, the two most balanced are probably Hunter and Druid. Not like Pharaoh out your ass Druid, but Hunter and Resto Druid. I really enjoy fighting those two. Rogues, I think, could use a little bit of a damage increase. Their damage is a tad bit off. But this has turned more into a rant than a commentary, but we'll keep it as is. Here I see some team members beating up on this Resto Druid, and I'm like, eh, free damage. Now, I am really enjoying the new abilities. If you look there, you can see the red thumbs down there. What that means is that when you queue up for a random BG, you can actually thumb down the BGs that you don't want to actually go into. Like I chose Alterac Valley and Isle of Conquest just simply because I don't like the huge 40-mans. There's not as much coordination in my opinion. And I just like the coordination of the capture this, do this. You know, help, don't help, I got this. I love those type of games. Not let's all cluster fuck to one area and see if we can actually come out on top. That's not really my style. But I really like that they added that. And here I just unload on this druid. Like, I'm still trying to figure it out in this BG. Like, right now I actually have these shadow bursts pretty much down to tact. I might make a video on that later on how to actually set it up. But once you get it going, it's insane. Like, once you get into execute range of the Shadow Priest, there's almost no going back. It just does so much damage, that Shadow Priest. And once again, that the Mind Bender basically replaces your Shadow Fiend, a 1 minute cooldown. Restores almost all your mana, basically, and just demolishes people. And here you can see that they know where the damage is coming from, so they decided to CC me. Now another thing I want to talk about is this list that I mentioned, List of Fade. You can actually see the buff right now, 10% damage reduction. On a Shadow Priest right now, that is phenomenal. So here the enemy priest, I believe he's disc. I don't know why he's trying to damage me, he's not really going to do anything. But then I hop over here. The one thing I do like about the PvP right now, though, the amount of damage you can actually withstand. I like the whole, where it's more based off of skill. Like, I did a few games with twos. I actually posted a video earlier with a Ret Paladin named Horabad. He was more of a healing off spec, and I was just going disc. We tried it with Shadow Ret, but the first game he had a UI problem some years ago. And then the second game, it just didn't go so well. It was more time spent off healing each other than actually doing damage. So I decided if I'm gonna off heal him, why not go healer? You know, get the job done right. I actually find that Shadow is actually just as mana efficient as Disc for healing at times. And here, I don't really want to go out there because I can see all the red people. So like, I'll just build up a Shadow Orb like that. And so that's what I pretty much did. And another thing is there's a glyph for Shadow or Mind Blast. It sort of paralyzes me, and from what me and my friends saw, you actually can't freedom act or anything. So it looks really nice, really solid. For right now, I'm just winging it, having fun in this BG. It was my first time as Shadow. I've been disc last season, season 12, the Cataclysmic season. We ended up hitting around 2k and 5, so this priest is actually going to be getting rival title. First season as priest, it was disc. We ran 5v5. We actually ran a melee cleave on kel'thuzad, which is not too many of them. Especially melee cleaves without hunters. We were Ret Paladin, Double Disc Priest, Death Knight, Rogue. We called it the Big Titty Slip Thief because of Double Disc. Now here I'm actually just off healing, and that just shows how much power the off heals have. And that, I forget what the name of it is, that Shadow Word Pain ability where you can use it at the end, but I use that quite often in this BG, and you'll actually see me in a second actually check my damage meter to see how it works. Now I know some people might be having trouble with that on. I've got 2, 3 to work, at least decently. One is Omni CC, which is the thing showing my cooldowns. Recount, I was going to try Tidy Plates, but for some reason everything's clear, nothing's showing up right now, so I figured I'd give it a while, wait for an update. And same thing with Bartender. So right now I'm just playing the standard Blizzard UI, enjoying it a little bit actually. It's sort of a nostalgia feeling when I used to use it. But here I'm just deciding, hey, I'm going to try to kill a Resto Shaman, which is nearly impossible unless you have a BM Hunter next to you completely shitting on them. And then they go with their 100k heals, insane right now. Shamans with Mastery are just impossible to kill, at least in a 1v1 scenario. Like here we actually take over the mines, which is quite astonishing because I didn't think we were going to take over anything. Quite frankly, I was just happy I'm living this long. And one thing to notice is Arcane Mage guys are not doing as much damage as they used to. They still do good damage, but it's the Frost Mages, in my opinion, that you gotta look out for. Because while the Arcane Mages are nice, you can actually let them precast for quite a bit longer now without so much of the worries. But the Frost Mage, with the Ice Orb, oh, they proc Fingers of Frost, and it's just insane. I might actually make a Frost Mage video as well. I have pretty much every class at 85, pretty much fully decked out for videos. So if you guys want to see a certain class, rotation, PvE, PvP guy, just let me know in the comments below. Now here, I'm still trying to kill the Shaman. Not much to say there, even with all my PvP gear, which is full Cataclysmic. I think actually in this one I actually had a Ruthless Trinket because I bought the wrong necklace and I had to swap it out afterwards, so I just bought the Trinket. But it's still a Ruthless Trinket, which is nice PvP power. Another thing, the PvP resilience is pretty much the damage you can can withstand from other players. PvP power is the amount of damage that you do to enemy players. In other words, in PvE, if you're full PvP power, you won't be doing as much damage to a boss, because you're stacked to do damage versus a player. And there I was getting cocky and checking damage. Whereas the same thing applies when you go to PvE, or PvP and PvE gear. Like I was testing out my Red Paladin. A patch ago, full PvE gear made you hit like a crack trap. But right now, as it stands, it's better to get full PvP gear if you plan on PvPing, just because the damage increase to players. Without it, it's a little bit low. The only items I can see actually you're able to use outside of that would probably be weapons. Because those are the only ones I didn't see that had PvP power. They still have the resilience, but not the power. So I think as for weapons, you should be okay to just pick your favorite PvE weapon and have at it. But here I'm trying to fight this hunter. They've been pretty much eye-dogging me the whole fight. Get rooted. I don't know why it took me so long to fade. I guess I just wasn't worried. No one was really on me. Another thing, whenever your Mind Blast is up, doesn't matter if it's on a pet or anything, get that Mind Blast out so you can get those Shadow Orbs going. Because those Shadow Orbs are what bring all your damage. And here we actually have 2-1, so I figured go out for a nice evening in camp. And there's this one mage, the Arcane Mage. He is a quote-unquote bitch of the day. Him and this hunter, this Blood Elf hunter I have targeted. For some reason, they were just the wrong place at the wrong time of my receiving end. Every time they tried to escape or run, it would just randomly choose them to be the victim. Once again, I'm sorry if the sound is actually a bit loud on this one, because I was actually enjoying it for a little bit, seeing if any of the sounds changed for the abilities. And for Shadow Priest, whenever you get your Shadow Orbs, you actually get the Archangel Wings. Actually, I believe it's whenever you Shadow Word Death or use a certain ability you get. I'm not 100% sure, but here you see me actually going over the recount to see how much that Shadow Word ability did. What's it called? Shadow Word Insanity. There you go. That's the name of it. Well, basically what it does is when you're Shadow Word Pain is about to fall off, it lets you hit him for a hell of a lot. I think it's like 15 to 27k average. And so it's really nice, but in the end the Side Fiend's a better choice just with the damage and mana. It's honestly my favorite. Even though you don't really have mana problems. You watch, I'll recast almost the entire game and rarely even go below half mana just from that natural mana regen that Shadow has, Spirit. Because I'm still using the Disc 4 set, which gives you like 1.2k resilience whenever you bubble. Whereas the Shadow one gives you like a 60% movement speed after a dispersion. Which I honestly think I like the resilience one more, because it's always nice. Here I'm just trying to dispel some of these stage moves because they're annoying. But once again, here's that hunter I mentioned who is the bitch of the day. I'm a mage. They have starring roles in today's new movie. Sort of like Titanic, only bad. I didn't really like Titanic, so judge me on that. But I'm like, hey, Fear Bomb! And I was also testing out the first tree, which I don't use them as much as I should. I gotta find a more comfortable keybind for him, I think. But I tried out the Side Fiend, which is the little bastard that you can actually place. It's sort of like a very, very tiny mass dispel icon. It's just a place spell. And what I like to do is use it to fear people out of LOS. Like, let's say this guy was inside the door of the boat. I could place this right in front of the door and it would fear him, which is phenomenal for arena when you gotta stop healer from cutting that corner. It does DR your fear, but it's really nice for this quick when you need it. Throw that on one person, the other person's across the map, fear him with that. It's just beautiful the way you can set up stuff. But in this BG, I actually have the root effect, because I did a previous BG that had 8 warriors in it, and right now they're hitting pretty hard, even on a fully resilienced out Shadow Priest, which is pretty remarkable. Now, I actually don't think I've died up to this point, which is quite shocking to me. But I do believe I died once or twice in this BG, I'm not 100% sure. Me and this little BM hunter pretty much tag team this entire graveyard for a good portion of the day. Now right here you show you how little they're doing. 6k, 5k. And typically, even with his gear, most mages would be doing double, triple that, especially on the third cast. But right now, Arcane's very easy to beat. And looting people's corpses, by the way, no longer gives you copper or silver, which sort of brings to question how we're planning on getting the dark stuff. At this point, I say, hey, we might make a comeback, but times are hard. Very hard indeed. But right now, their whole team decides to go. So I'm like, I'm gonna enjoy myself. I'm gonna play Shadow how I used to play Shadow. Dot everything open and hope for proc. And I decided to take out the focus of my frustrations on the Hunter just simply because I know how much damage a Hunter can do. And I really want to prevent that. And here I actually pulled my Shadow Orbs way too long. I could have effectively gotten another Shadow Word Death off. Or, I'm sorry, Devouring Plague. They all decided to swap a little on me. Now this is actually where it shows the training capabilities of Shadow. Now I did pick up Desperate Prayer, just because I really like it. Here I'm going to shackle with that, because it's like Dark Ones, they hit hard. Now watch my health here and compare it to the Death Knight. Now I popped Vampiric Embrace relatively soon, I believe, because it takes your single target damage and converts it to all your healing. I'm not sure when I actually hit that button. Should be soon though. Throwing out a flash heal, toss me to half health. It's insane. It's like half health with one button. Same with red. But here I'm dotting him up, just trying to test out abilities pretty much. Shackle pet. Don't like pets casting. He actually interrupted me for once, which would have been nice for him back in the house if he would have had that ability. There we go, popped out Vampiric Embrace, and my health will just shoot up. Just from single target damage. It's pretty insane how much healing I have. Mind you, I have no healer on me. This is just me. I was ganked with 10% health by that guy. Came back. Proved victorious. And here I'm just trying to max range, stay as safe as possible, not do anything stupid, because I'm really enjoying the fact that I haven't died yet. But I believe all good things must come to an end. When you decide to target a healer, and they like to spam their BG chat that there's a Shadow Priest attacking me, their group of 8 hunters decides to attack you. And as good as Shadow Priest is, no cooldown, which is too much for my little Shadow Priest. And down I go. Now when I'm dead, I like to check the scoreboard, see how everybody was doing. Second in damage behind a hunter. I'll take it. I don't play Shadow often. This BG is purely for enjoyment and discussion about what everybody thinks about the patch. Thank you guys for watching.